This episode is brought to you by the Thrive Tribe. Check it out at chasingbrighter.com/Thrive Tribe. Welcome to Superwoman Diaries. We have a special series where Kelly and I are going to be talking with the superwomen in our lives. And so I'm going to have a multi-part series with a teen in my life and a superwoman, my daughter, Gabriella. Hey, Gabby, welcome. So glad to have you on here. One of the things I wanted to talk about today, okay, is what you think midlife women might not realize their teens are thinking or feeling. Like, what can we learn from you? Or, yeah.
In specific, like, I need
just in general, if you're thinking about your
situation.
friends and their parents.
I have a lot of friends that don't have great home lives or don't have great relationships with their parents like how I do. So I'm very grateful for you and Dad.
I'm grateful for you, child.
But I think parents need to keep in mind that something I think about a lot is that you were all our age at one point, and it goes through your head. I know you're always like, I was your age once, but you have to like really consider how it was like different. Like you had hormones and all this stuff. It like causes and changes your decisions all the time. Mm-hmm. Like right now with you and Dom and how he's becoming a teenager and how he thinks he can come to me. And I think that's great that he can come to me and talk to me about that stuff. But I think, I don't know, he gets super defensive because of he doesn't feel like you relate to him. He feels like it's different. And so every time I tell him that we have the same situation or I did the same thing because it was the same age, hormones and stuff, he gets really angry about that.
He doesn't like to hear about hormones.
No, apparently not.
I think what I'm hearing you say is like having compassion. Like if adults who have teens in their life to have compassion and remember what it was like to be your age. And like you guys want autonomy, and autonomy is being able to make your own choices and do what you want to do.
I also feel like, we're teenagers and a lot of us we're still learning and we have to go through certain situations and learn how to deal with those. Yeah. And we have to learn how to deal with friendships and stuff. There's been times where you tell me you're like, oh, I don't know if that's a good friend for you. And I don't take your word for it, even though I know I should, but I still go through it and I'm like, oh, you're right. That wasn't a good friend for me. But I don't want to go to you and be like, oh, you were right, Mom. And then you're like, yeah, I was right. Because I know some parents that do that. Instead of being like, oh, that really sucks for you. I'm sorry that happened. Yeah. Because it's like something everyone goes through because it's just a cycle. Everyone's going through a cycle. Same thing with like parents. Like
we have to let you make the choices and live it yourself. Yeah. And then be there, support you, and not yell at you and say, why'd you make that dumb choice?
Yeah, because you had to do it. Yeah. I'm sure that you went through the same thing with your own papa.
It's so hard because I have experience. I don't want you to experience pain. So I just want to tell you what to do and all the choices to make so then you don't have to experience discomfort and pain. That's my perspective.
If you would have stopped me from trying to date or something like that because of like your dating life, I wouldn't have met AJ or been this close to him. And but there's been times where you've said stuff and like you've been enforced it and it has saved me. Like I could have stopped being friends with Danica. We could have stopped being best friends because of stupid decisions and arguments that we had or we grew apart. And like when 4 or 5 years ago when we stopped being friends for a little bit, if you wouldn't have tried to like have us be friends again, I don't know if we'd be back to where we were. So I think that's good. There's like times where it's I don't know, sometimes you get a lot of pushback from us. So
I think when I was a teen, I think you're very rigid and black and white, and I think I was like that. So it's like if your friend does one thing or says one thing, then they're like dead to you. But because I've lived more life, it's maybe what if this was happening for them or this was happening to them so it's like I want you to sometimes give people the benefit of the doubt and work on the relationship, and then other times I'm like, yeah, I can see a pattern there already.
I think so too. I give advice to my friends like with this one friend, she's really struggling with her family right now. And sometimes I try to like help her and talk to her, and I'm always there to call her, but she just, I feel like she doesn't want to take my advice. She wants to just complain about it, and I feel like there's a lot of people in my life that just want to complain about stuff or just don't want to induce change or anything like that. That's very irritating for me.
And sometimes that never changes. I think that's a teen thing.
No, I know, for sure, but I think it's inflicted from parents.
Oh.
It's a cycle. Like I said, like everything's a cycle. Like everything that everyone's gone through, wherever you grew up, like it's a cycle. You're just repeating what your parents went through, basically. But that's when like change, like you guys can make the change of being more open-minded and more inclusive and stuff like that. That stops the cycle.
Yeah.
Changes. Shout out to wait, can I shout out books?
I don't care. Shout out books?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Shout out to It Ends With Us. Ending the cycle of abuse. It was more, yes, it got physically abusive at the end, but it was more of like a mind manipulation.
And physical abuse. There's physical
abuse.
abuse.
But it was like he gaslit her the whole time.
Yeah.
And you were in love with him. You love him.
Yeah, I think
and then
because
you're like, what the heck?
It's not so obvious. Sometimes people think it's just this horrible, terrible person, but it can be someone who's nice and caring and be abusive. You know what I mean? Like, we're very complicated. Humans are very complicated and contradictory. I think one of the things Aunt Kelly and I talk about a lot is, like, we're going to start talking about is perimenopause and like changes in women's cycles and stuff. And so it's like, it's like the 10 years before you stop having your period and everything. And a lot of times the hormone fluctuations in women in midlife are like the same as
teenagers.
And so I was just going to ask you, do you see hormonal fluctuations or mood swings in me?
In you? Yeah.
Yeah. Or changes. Yeah.
It was like more prominent the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
This year, not so much. Maybe because I'm not as home as often.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad because I did the same thing where everything just makes you overstimulated or frustrated. Like yesterday, it was my birthday and I was like having the best day. I woke up and I was like, this is going to be such a great day. And then just hearing like Gio being super loud and running around and then Dominic being loud because Dominic has such a deep voice. Even if he wasn't trying to be loud, he was just like in my ear. And then AJ was like poking me and I was like, I'm going to scream. Like I'm going to. And then my mood dropped.
You're irritated.
And me and Danica was talking, like we were talking about it today at the store. You're like, whenever you just go shopping and all of a sudden you just like, you're like, oh my god, this is so cute. And then all of a sudden you just stop and you're like,
yeah,
I want to be here.
Yeah.
I want to get stuff. And so I was thinking about that yesterday. And then I just left the room and I was like, Dad's like, do you want cake? And Gio was like, I want cake. And I was like, dude, we just ate dinner. I'm so full right now. And so we waited and then Dad was like, you have to get the first slice of cake. I had to force myself to eat cake.
Yeah, we shoved cake in your face.
No, I'm just saying because Dad made me have the first slice. So I was like, can I have a small sliver then?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did enjoy the cake and I loved it. I'm not saying you shoved it down my throat or anything, but I'm just saying I just wanted to be upstairs. So as soon as I went upstairs, I fell asleep. I was out.
Your mood goes from like super high energy to then low.
And I think that you do that sometimes too.
Yeah.
And especially if Gio or Dominic
zap my energy.
Yeah, like when they're like at your face and stuff, or like when I'm like doing something in your face, you get frustrated with us. I feel like it has not been bad this past year, this past couple months. Like it hasn't been
together.
Yeah. At least behind closed doors because it hasn't shown.
Yeah. And I also want to talk a little bit, or do you have more to say about hormone fluctuations or mood swings?
Not really.
Okay. So what about like do you think there are different pressures for your generation versus my generation? Yes. Social media, school, body image, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think not to poo on your achievements or like anything like that, because I think what you and Aunt Kelly and all the women in my life have done is super, super amazing. Because you all have done it differently, but taken different paths. But I think that education, specifically at my school, because it is a private charter, basically.
Public charter, yeah.
It's considered the CCSD.
It's free.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind. Charter school, but it's small.
It's a college.
Yeah, it's a college prep school, and I feel like the education has gotten harder and harder.
I agree.
Expectations have gotten higher and higher.
I agree.
It's like what I read for that one class where it's, are they inflating is there grade inflation, or should we like make it harder? And I think it's already hard enough. It's gotten really
you're not experiencing grade inflation.
I'm not experiencing grade inflation. I wish I was.
Yeah.
I'd be top of my class.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I just feel like that's specifically with school. It gets harder and harder every year because we get teachers that want to do less and less work.
Yeah.
And I think that
you feel like the teachers.
I feel like that way. There's a lot of great teachers out there. Shout out Miss Carlson, an 8th grade and 6th grade English teacher. Loved her. But and all of my elementary teachers were great.
You feel like the school pressures are more now than they were.
Yeah, I think so.
For Gen X millennial parents.
Yes.
But we didn't, but we had to hammer into stone tablets. And
right, and you had to ride dinosaurs.
So we didn't have as much time.
And sometimes you had to fight for your lunch.
That's right.
If you didn't get lunch, you had to kill a duck.
Yeah.
Like,
you had to hunt and gather.
You didn't have anything. You chewed on a stick that you used to chisel tablet.
No, I agree with that. I think school is way harder. I definitely feel like if there were phones, I would be canceled or something. I think it doesn't
you guys don't have a good filter, because I go in public sometimes and I hear somebody say, like, I was walking.
My generation doesn't have a good filter.
Your generation has. Some people, great. Some people do not need to be able to post on social media. They need to take their phone away or something. They can't have Instagram, because I will be scrolling on Instagram and some girl will say something. I'm like, okay.
I feel like it doesn't give you an opportunity to make a mistake. So what if you do something dumb, but everyone has a phone, so it's recorded and it lasts forever, and it's.
I think you think about that more than I do.
Yeah.
There is people that do take a lot of screenshots in my generation. That's how you get, like, clipped. Vocabulary word for all of you.
What's clip? Is it canceled?
Clip means you get caught, like, doing something. So, do you know what caught in 4K means?
I know what 4K is.
Like, this is, like, 4K was, like, a while ago, but clipped.
That's the new caught in 4K.
Yeah, basically it means
caught
that
4K used to be caught you red-handed.
Yes, that's basically what it is. I caught you red-handed. Like, clipped means that you were caught doing something you shouldn't be doing, or you were like, so whenever, or you just got caught doing something embarrassing. So, like, when I'm in public and somebody takes a bad picture of me, I'm like, oh, like, that was
so you just taught all of our listeners clipped, but if I were to use that in a sentence.
Segment vocabulary. Yeah. Vocabulary with
Gen
Gabby.
Z. Okay. So here's my thing, though. If you and I were walking around the world and I said clipped, you would be horrified. And you guys get so upset that we use your language.
But you use it like, you make sure that we hear the word. You're not trying to hide it in a sentence where I'm like, oh, I got clipped. You'd be like, oh, I got clipped.
I would like acknowledgement, like, oh my God, look, mom, you're.
Sometimes
is that my mom or my best?
Because what Abby was talking about with her mom, she does the same thing. It's just a mom thing, like a generation.
So we have to just be really. If I was like really chill about it and quiet and whispered it.
See how you extended the word chill, like really long.
Excuse me. Like, chill is Gen X. Don't take that from us.
It's actually that everyone uses.
So you feel, because social media has been present for you so long, you don't think about it the way I think about it. I'm like,
it's more dangerous than it really is. Okay. Genuinely, people are more stupid. Yeah. I think here's the thing. I think my generation could be really smart.
Yeah.
If this is so contradicting, because I love being on Instagram and TikTok and all that. But I sometimes wish, now you're going to use this against me. Sometimes I wish I didn't have a phone or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's gotten, like, to the point where my hours on my phone, in my defense, these past couple weeks, I can't do anything. Yeah. So I have been on my phone more.
You had surgery and can't move.
So I have been on my phone, or I've been watching TV more.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel dumber. But I think it's not even with school or, like, being on social media or anything like that sometimes, because I think it's, like, also relates back to the hormones thing. Mm-hmm. As soon as I went into 8th grade, I felt super dumb. Like, I felt like I lost all of, like,
Your brain
Maybe
power.
I lost all my brain power,
Yeah.
all my motivation during COVID. I think COVID really messed everything up. But like, I was like, Dominic, do you feel dumber? He's like, I don't even know how I'm doing my assignments anymore. I just am like, and we were talking about how recently, I think this is different for your generation, but for school, for us, it's more assignments than it is lectures, and we don't even know what we're learning anymore because of the amount of assignments and stuff. And there's this meme going around that's like, freaking packet yo, and that's what it is. And so this guy like stands up in class and he has a packet and he's like, I can't with these freaking packets, yo, and like he like slams on the teacher's desk. He's like, I'm not even learning anything. He's like, this is stupid. You're just giving us grades and assignments and all this stuff, but we can't learn from them because we're just trying to get it done so that we get a good grade. We're not understanding anything that we're learning. We're just trying to fill out the paper.
So that's
and
like a newer thing right now.
I think it is. I think that teachers are great, but I think sometimes it's policies and stuff where you have to reach a deadline or a certain amount of assignments. But for college, it's nothing like that. Like, I know that I'm taking a community college classes and stuff, but it's like, we don't have that many assignments. The only class that I have a lot of assignments for that's not even that bad is psychology. Yeah. It's like watching videos. And
when I was in college, it was a lot of reading. But you weren't like submitting assignments. It was papers and finals and like exams.
Did you have a lot of assignments in like middle school or high school and middle school? Because I feel like there was.
I don't remember. I was like, Nona says, and I agree. I complain and bitched and moaned like longer than the actual work took.
That's what you used to tell me.
So I don't know. But
you used to tell me that when I was.
I feel like I was overwhelmed. I had a lot of work, but when I look back, I also don't like. I completely think that you guys have it harder than I did. I didn't go to a really hard school. You'd have to ask Dad. Your dad went to a really hard school.
Dad also lived in New York. So.
Yeah, no, but a lot of his teachers.
Okay, the kids that lived outside of New York are very smart and all went to high schools. I think. Okay. I feel like based on Dad and.
But you could probably. Catherine. He lived in a county that had a very high concentration of wealth, and so then where there's more wealth, there's people. Better funded schools.
I know you lived on a pig farm.
And better schools.
You're just a dummy.
Farmers are intelligent. Stop. But we were talking about like the pressures for your generation compared to the pressures of my generation, and I was going to talk about like body image.
Okay. Yeah.
And segueing into body image. I remember when I showed you these pants and I said, I feel like these pants show my cellulite. And you said, I don't even know what you're talking about. My generation doesn't even look at that. And so like size inclusivity. So like when I was going to a store, they would maybe have a size, 3, 5, and 7 or something. So now you go to a store and they have a size 000 all the way up to like a size 30. You know what I mean? And so it's like you go to stores and, you can wear this. Where when I was a kid, it's like certain bodies could wear certain things. And so I feel like you guys are more accepting of different body types and like beauty different.
I think that's a yes and no thing. I think this generation of men is not so great.
Yeah.
I feel like chivalry is dead. I think I see a lot of videos on it, which is has me looking. Like
that you see a lot of videos that chivalry is dead.
Yeah, not like just chivalry. This is going to lead into the point of body image, but there's a lot more men commenting on women and young girls' posts and guys that are commenting and saying, "Oh, this," but they're not talking about. I don't even know why people comment. Like I just watched this video. It had nothing to do with body image. It was about this guy who was tiling his whole house or redoing his house, and the guy was like. Somebody commented, like, the tile looks a little rough, but as long as you love it. I'm like, why do you need to say something then? There was no point to that comment. Because if they love it, then, like, why?
So social media is giving people an opportunity to hate a lot.
I think it's giving people, when people are like, oh, freedom of speech and all of this, I'm like, there's some people that should not be able to speak.
There was this thing
Mostly
I saw
men.
Selena Gomez.
Mostly.
And they were like, her weight has fluctuated. She's had a lot of different health issues and stuff like that. Even if she didn't have health issues, her weight fluctuates, period. But anyway, so people are saying all this crazy stuff. And so the person reposted the comments, but then found photos of the people that
yeah,
commented,
they were ugly, weren't
and
they?
then showed what
Bam! Get clipped! Clipped! Using your new vocabulary! I saw
Bang
that
got
too.
clipped. Bam. Okay.
Yeah, see, you used it subtly there.
Okay.
But like people, like
But that's why it doesn't matter what other people.
comment.
But what other people say and do has to do with them.
Okay, but it doesn't stop it from happening. It doesn't stop it from being able to see it. It crosses your mind. Because I know that if somebody was like, Gabby, your left eye slightly twitches a little bit when you talk, I would literally be thinking about that every time I talk. So I'd be like,
so in person, the people, you feel like there is more body acceptance and stuff, but online it's opened up opportunities
because
for
they're
people to
hidden
be
behind
really
a screen.
hateful.
And when you look at these people, when they comment on people and you zoom in on their picture, are they any better than the people they're commenting against? No. They're actually uglier because of their personality.
Yeah.
Bam! Personality makes you ugly. And I think that there's so many people. I love this girl. Her name is Spencer, and I follow her so much. She was on Hollister. I think I showed you.
She's not like super skinny.
But she's
just
not,
a normal
she's
average
not
body.
unhealthy.
Yeah,
right. And she
looks
looks
so happy.
happy.
See health by looking at someone.
She's not.
Yeah.
Yes, but she is the sweetest. She smiles in every single video.
Right.
She's the sweetest. I love her so much. I follow a lot of girls who I just love for their style or their personality or their videos.
Yeah.
I don't follow people for what they look like specifically. Yeah. There's some girls I'm like, oh, they're so adorable. But I'm not even looking at their body or anything. Like, I think everyone's beautiful. I think everyone is beautiful in their own way. But personality and what you post and everything like that makes you an ugly person. And that's why when I'm like, I don't like that person, they're ugly. Yeah. I'm not saying they are physically ugly. I'm saying their personality is physically ugly. There's a lot of girls in my school who depend on outside validation for everything they do. Yeah. And they want to be influencers so bad, and they want to do all this stuff. And there's this one person I knew who did rely a lot on, like, male validation, and I just never understood. But, like, even now, like, with AJ, and we're, like, at a store, and I'm like, oh, I really like this. He's like, that's ugly. I'm like, okay, I don't care. That's mine. It's for my body. It's not for your viewing. It's for me. And so every time I wear stuff, and then he's like, oh, that actually is really like nice. I'm like, thank you, but I'm wearing because I like it, not because you like it. External validation. I don't feel like I think I was raised very well. Thank you, because I feel like you guys made me feel like everything I wore was beautiful, and like I was beautiful separate from my clothing. Yes, sometimes you take a picture of me, and I'm like, I don't like that. I say bad things about myself. But I'm not taking it personally. Yeah. I'm not, like, literally internalizing the fact that I'm, like, I don't like that picture. Yeah. I'm not, like, that's how I look like all the time. I'm just thinking that is not a flattering angle for me. I don't like that picture. I'm not, like...
It's the picture, not yourself.
Yeah, and I know, here's the thing which I loved thinking about, which I've talked to you about a lot, which you've bring up a lot, and then another thing. I always think if I would talk to my daughter that way, and then I, like, joked with you today. I was like, I told you what I would tell myself, but you're like, oh, what would you say? I would be like, she's ugly, but I don't mean it. And I don't think I would ever talk to my daughter in a horrible way ever. Yeah. Like, never in a million years if I had a kid. And that's one way to talk to yourself, if you would talk to your kid like that. Also, I have been watching a lot of videos that are like when iPhones don't actually show, like, what you really look like. And iPhones morph what you look like. Also, keeping in mind, we don't really... Okay, I know this might be like a... What's the word?
Conspiracy?
Yeah, a conspiracy theorist. Yeah. I'm trying to be a conspiracy theorist. But I don't really think that we genuinely look how we do on camera. Like, on our phones, I don't think that's what I really look like. On selfies and stuff, we don't look like that.
And I think a couple of things. I love that woman that said, you know how, like, when you see a sunset... And it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
and you
that's
take
what
the
I was
picture,
saying,
and the picture doesn't look like how it looks
how
in real
it looks
life.
Like in real life.
So that's how pictures are. And then also, just before we end, I want to talk a little bit about self-care. And how do you think your generation or teens are with self-care versus Gen Z? So I can start because it's really easy. There wasn't the word self-care going around in the 90s and early aughts. So
I think it's more
I don't know about,
people are aware
like,
and stuff.
Our generation is like, that's like the podcast is to help women in life now learn about self-care. So what do you think your generation does or knows about self-care?
I think a lot of people go to therapy now. I think it's more common.
Normalized.
Yeah, more normalized. I also think self-care is overdone.
Yeah.
Like, in my generation, like, there's some people that, like, self-diagnose them with stuff. They make it a point that everyone knows that this thing is wrong with them, but they're taking care of it. And you don't need to do that. I don't need to go around and being like, I think I have ADHD, but it's okay. Like, I have squishies and stuff at home to take care of it, which I think a lot more people are doing and stuff.
I think about things like a pendulum. So if you think like Gen X and millennials like never talked about anything, then you like Gen Z's talking too much. So maybe it
needs
back
to go
into
back
the middle.
to the middle.
But self-care is also like getting sleep, washing your face, brushing your teeth,
I think a lot of people, my generation, we all love sleep. That's all we post about is how much sleep we love, but nobody's getting sleep. I love sleeping. I go to bed really early. Yeah. Even though you hear that the phone is on, I'm
definitely sleep deprived.
I go to bed. I go to bed at 9:30 whenever I get home. Especially now that I don't have any practice or anything, I'm going to bed as fast as I can because I have to wake up so early, and I love sleeping. I hate taking naps because I can't take a nap for the life of me. I don't know.
So, is there anything else on today's episode? Because we're gonna have a few more episodes, but that you think midlife women or people in midlife should know about teens, or anything else you want to talk about?
Just keep an open mind. None of us are ever truly angry at you. We love our parents very much, especially if they're kind to us. Golden rule, treat others like you would want to be treated.
I think what you and I talk about is that I think teens are very triggering. And when I say what other people do and says do with them and not you, like parents who are being unkind to their children, it's because they're being triggered and they're not taking time to go self-soothe and figure out what's going on with them, number one. And number two, sometimes there's just not an opportunity for a parent to really care for themselves. They're running on empty and then just exploding everywhere, which...
So it doesn't take away from our problems and stuff. So whenever, like, I verbalize or someone verbalize that they are feeling empty or burnt, and then parents get frustrated because they're like, you don't know what burnout is.
I know.
Like, someone else in my life. That. Not you. Okay. Someone else in my life.
I know.
Who needs to check themselves.
Yeah, it's not validating. Like, again, having compassion and validating. Because and Kelly and I talked about that too, like being able to just like listening and saying, oh, okay, that sounds like you're experiencing a lot of anxiety or whatever. You're really stressed.
Because I feel like a lot of people, I feel like our generation has the most anxiety. Like a lot of anxiety. Something
that can help you guys out is that I dropped another medication.
So let's go.
I dropped another meditation for our Thrive Tribe, and this one's on fear. And so check out chasingbrighter.com/Thrive Tribe to join today, and you get special bonus features like meditations I've been dropping recently.
Bam.
Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe so you can hear our latest episodes as soon as they drop.
If you loved today's episode, share with a friend. Find us on Instagram, Facebook at Chasing Brighter, or check out our blog at chasingbrighter.com and follow us. If you want to know more about Kelly and I, read our blogs, find more tips, tools, and resources, check that out at chasingbrighter.com. Thanks. Remember, your best life is just a listen away.